Ticket number 16924. Pre-populated timestamp off by 4 hours in test record submission form. So this is simply a case of setting the time zone and the new daylight saving time variable. So if we come to the global module, we come to the enterprise level and the enterprise overview template. Here we can set the time zone. Currently we have it American Chicago, GMT -5. This time zone, however, will be superseded if there is a time zone set at the site level. So here we can set the time zone for this particular site, and the site time zone will be superseded if the user has set a time zone within their profile. So if we come to update profile here, we can see that we can set the time zone within here. We've currently got it at American New York, which is UTC GMT -4. So if we come to this website and have a little look at the time zone in New York, we're currently on Eastern Daylight Saving Time due to the time of year, which would be UTC GMT -4, as opposed to Eastern Standard Time, which would be -5. We do have some users of SLM that need to avoid the daylight savings and always stay on standard time for New York, for example, which is -5 across the course of the year. So in this scenario, if we come back to SLM and we come down to the system module, if we come down to the global configuration and the environment settings, we have a new variable here, so we can disable the daylight saving times. This would mean that anytime there is a workflow, which is pre-populating with the time, it would use the standard time as opposed to the daylight saving time. So if we now started a workflow which pre-populated the time, because we have the disabled daylight saving time set to no, the time will be pre-populated with UTC GMT -4. If we came back to the system module, we update this value. We've now disabled the daylight saving time. So now the pre-populated time would be UTC GMT -5 in the workflow. Ticket number 16920. Add a user notification when attempting to delete an object that has already been submitted for deletion approval. So if we come to instrumented systems and we come down to a SIF, let's check this object out into a project. We will select demo project. If we then come to the demo project, we can see our SIF here that's been checked in. If we come to edit tools and delete the SIF, if we then come down to our enterprise projects and select our demo project, under the project details template, if we scroll down, we can see our SIF here is pending deletion approval. So if we come back to instrumented systems, we're still inside the demo project. Let's select SIF 0001. If we now come back to edit tools again and click delete once more, the user is presented with this warning message saying that SIF 0001 has already been marked for deletion and is awaiting approval. Ticket number 16911. Cause and effects matrix auxiliary function color coding. So we're adding color interception in the cause and effects matrix where the output is an auxiliary function for a specific function, and we're using a yellow border for those particular cells. So if we come to instrumented systems, we come down to a SIF. Under the auxiliary functions for this SIF, we can see we have an output 33MC888. So if we refer to a cause and effects matrix that references that output, we scroll down and look at the final element, we can see we have the output ID. And for function 001 SIF123, which we just looked at, we can see that the cell border for the intersection is now yellow. Ticket number 16910. Usability improvements for the cause and effects matrix. So the cause and effects matrix table contains a large number of rows and columns, which make it difficult to read and navigate. The goal of this task is to enhance usability and improve the user experience when working with the table. So the three changes that we've made is to highlight the active row and column on cell hover to improve readability, add dynamic tooltips showing the column header and row header, and enable vertical and horizontal scrolling for better navigation. So if we come to the Instrumented Systems module and select a C&E matrix, you can see that we now have a scroll bar at the top. If we scroll down, you can see there's one at the bottom here as well. If I hover over the matrix, you'll notice that we're now highlighting the active row and column. And if I hover over one of the intersections, you will see that we have the tooltip showing the column header and the row header. Ticket number 16909. Split the in-service failure rates. So if we come to Operate and Maintain, and we come down to a SIF and the inputs, if we select a device, in the device O&M data template, if we scroll down to the performance data, you will see that we've split the in-service failure rates to device failure rate and device safe failure rate. Ticket number 16905. Feature request, severity and frequency location in matrix. So there's an issue in the dynamic risk matrix axes in the bypass review template. The x-axis should always be the frequency and the y-axis should always be the severity, and in the reviews template the axes were switched. Additionally, the word likelihood has been replaced with the word frequency. So if we come to Operate Maintain, we come to a unit and we come to the bypass reviews template. If we scroll down to the LOPA IPL table and scroll across to the DRM on the far right, the x-axis is now showing the frequency and the y-axis is showing the severity. The word likelihood was replaced with the word frequency. Ticket number 16902. Horizontal tab scrolling with mouse wheel. So we've implemented a smooth scrolling system that uses the mouse wheel to move horizontally through the interface tabs. So if we come to Instrumented Systems, we'll select a SIF. If we use the scrolling wheel in the object tree, it scrolls up and down the tree. In the main interface window, it scrolls up and down as we expect. If you hover your mouse over the tabs and use the scrolling wheel, you can see we scroll through the tabs. Ticket number 16590. Propagation issue between HAZOP and LOPA. So if a modification is made in the HAZOP register within HAZOP, the same modification is not being reproduced in the LOPA hazard register. So if we come to HAZOP, we come down to HAZOP study and the facilitation template. We filtered for a scenario ID. If we come across to the hazard register, it's currently 444. If we edit this and just make them all ones and save the changes, that's now updated the hazard registry values for safety, environmental and commercial. If we now come to the LOPA sheet associated with the HAZOP scenario, currently we can see the severity is still 444 as was previously set. So if we refresh this template, we can see the severity values have been updated to 111 for safety, environmental and commercial.